down to business. You all know why we're here, to ride a cable car from the end of the line. Now, these cars have controls for only forward motion, so they must be revolved on a turntable at the end of the line, as we see here. I'm going to try to get the post position on this car for the best views as we get going. You can't just call shotgun here. You got to be quick if you want the catbird seat. Right, I got it. The best spot, riding a cable car heading toward Union Square. This is the life. A sunny day in November, San Francisco, a balmy 65. Uh-oh, we have a carbon-based biped in our path here. The brakeman trying to get her attention. Cable cars are like ships on these streets. They have the right of way, ostensibly anyway, if this woman would get the point. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, we're rolling again. This is going to be great. Now, unlike some travelogues, which just show snippets of this or that, we're going to show a great deal of this ride, which will take us almost all the way to Fisherman's Wharf. Right now, we're amongst the palm trees in Union Square on a very pleasant day. You can see my vice-like grip on the safety bar here as we defy gravity and centrifugal force in this little wind-up toy. Not a few bucks in this city, this thriving little metropolis of hip. Now, you might be wondering about these rails upon which we ride and how this vehicle propels itself. Well, it doesn't propel itself. It grabs onto a cable beneath these rails, a cable which itself is moving at a constant 9.5 miles per hour under the streets, kind of like a giant fan belt in a car or a tow rope. That's it. It's like a giant tow rope under the streets. So the cable car uses these massive pincers to grab onto the cable and hitches a free ride up and down these famously steep hills. Where else in any city of the world would you have a cab driver wave to you? Unsolicited, no less. One of the friendliest cities in the world. Of course, you can always get rolled or mugged. It ain't Disneyland. Of course, that's another video. And just last month, some kids were picked up for throwing stones at buses, for instance. San Francisco has always been a great place to get stoned, but not like that. Okay, back to the cable car. How did these come about? Well, in 1869, a guy by the name of Andrew Halliday, a Scotsman born and bred, watched a team of horses pulling a heavy load up one of these hills. At the very top of the hill, one of the horses slipped and fell, causing the heavy cart to fall back down the hill, dragging all of the horses with it. He was so moved by this moving episode that he vowed he would never again witness such a cruel sight. So he decided to build a cable car system for the city of San Francisco. Never mind that he had already devised and operated a system like this for work in the mining industry nearby. We're talking about legend here. We're talking about myth, so let's just leave it at that. So 4 years later, he introduced for the first time a cable car going up Nob Hill. And ever since, the city has had these ever so practical, always delightful purveyors of goods and people. Imagine yourself a skier grabbing a tow rope to lift you up the hill. Sure beats walking. Clang, clang, clang with the trolley. I just can't hide my glee. This is great. Now, these cable cars can hold 90 to 100 people comfortably. There used to be dozens of lines, but now there remain only 3. And these 3 are preserved, indeed saved, by public decree. The majority of people in San Francisco would have to vote the cable cars out of existence before that could ever happen. No mayor or commissioners could do it on their own. And there's now something like 36 cars still running the 3 remaining lines in the city.
You gotta die of something.
Okay, took on new passengers and we're off. There's my feet moving 9.5 miles an hour above the city streets. Hang on for the curve. Going around the curve. You can see we're going right through a neighborhood of utilitarian Victorians with aptly named bay windows. Of course, that's where the bay window gets their name, from this city by the bay. There they are. Finer way to travel, I swear. There are 4 braking systems on these cars, the last of which, if the other 3 have failed, heaven forbid, jams a wedge into the crack between the rails to ensure a halt of movement. So efficient is this final method that the car has to be released by a welder. So fused to the rail the car will become. Yeah, the front of a cable car in motion. Eat your heart out, Rick Steves. Leave your film crew and your producers at home. The best travelogues are captured by one person with one camera in real time and live sound, and witnessed by an audience who just might, for brief, precious moments, feel as if they're actually there with you. Seeing that cable car pass, we realized how we must look to them. Smiling faces clinging to a wind-up Christmas toy in one of the most beautiful cities in the world. Not like the beauty of Paris or parts of Washington, D.C., or Rome, or even London. This place is slightly askew, humorous. It makes you smile with its Tinker Toy bridges and toy cable cars, its hills and towers everywhere. All right, the end of the line for Fisherman's Wharf. We'll walk the rest of the way and hit Chinatown first. Make my way through the people disembarking here. Excuse me, pardon me. Thank you. Okay. Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat. Here's the turntable at the other end of the line. Hey, how are you? How you doing? Now, the guidebooks say that the brakemen, the cable car guys, are a happy lot who will chat you up and let you turn the car with them at the end of the line. I don't know what time of year the writers of the books were here, but my experience has been that these guys are pretty much focused on doing their job and not much else. 90 to 100 people have and will cling to this anachronism as it creeps up the hills and down the streets. What a great looking vehicle. Costs $1.50 to ride the thing, or $3 for a one-day pass, with various discounts for certain members of our society, students or seniors, etc. Well, thank you, Andrew Halliday, for making good on the then called Halliday's Folly. Thank you, San Francisco, for ensuring the future of these cars in your city charter of 1955. There's a typical urban cityscape. But what's that below those monolithic buildings? A pagoda, no less, and a three-tiered gate indicating the entrance to Chinatown. Let's see if I can get you a zoom in here. Yep, when you see the Chinese characters, you know you're in a foreign place. The heart of Chinatown now, along the 8 blocks of Grant Street. It does have some depth in the other directions as well, but Grant Street is the main drag. See if I can get some oriental flavor here. The Chinese first came to San Francisco in the gold rush of 1849. That first wave of immigration was around 100,000 people. And after the gold ran out, after the work in the mines ended, the Chinese immigrants then helped build the Transcontinental Railway, and they helped cut down and log all the trees from which San Francisco was built. To say that the Chinese were integral in the history of the city would not be an overstatement. Intricate carving here. Check this out. Of course, the entire place, Chinatown here, was almost completely destroyed in the horrific earthquake of 1906. Some people took the opportunity to try to move the Chinese out of this place, but they quickly banded back together and quickly built on this spot again, thus preserving their heritage in the city. They built hastily, however, out of necessity. Simple block structures. The decoration came later. So we're left with a strange result, a present Chinatown, utilitarian in design with pagodas and decorative elements attached a little later. If you could smell what I'm smelling right now, you would never leave this spot. I can bring you the sights and sounds. But for the smells and the tastes, you'll have to rely on your imagination. Also here on the boundary of Chinatown is the place where the urbanscape gives way to the North Beach area, the Italian district. Also famous for its avenue of strip joints, a long-standing tradition in this seaport town. A lot of naughty and raunchy tradition was begun here in San Francisco. Bottomless, topless, it was all brought to the American public here. And scatological humor was discussed openly on these stages, not to mention Lenny Bruce. A pair of inscrutable eyes cast their gaze from the boundary of Chinatown to the decadence of the North Beach fringe, and to the more genteel delights a little further into the Italian section of town. A different angle on the same North Beach strip here. This area quite famous in the beat 50s and freaked out 60s. Enrico's next door to the sushi bar here. And the Hungry Eye just down the street, two names conjuring memories as gathering places for the beat generation and the hippies. The Hungry Eye, one of the original comedy clubs on the West Coast where young comics, who are now old comics or dead comics, developed their style in front of hip audiences. There it is, the Hungry Eye. In the shadow of the financial district here still lives one of the coolest bookshops in the world, Lawrence Ferlinghetti's City Lights Bookshop. And there is the famous place itself. Ice cream shop paying homage to the 60s. Established in 1953, City Lights became the true heart and soul of the beat generation. Alan Ginsberg would howl away here as he proclaimed his truth in readings of his poem of the same name. Not to mention the great American poet Lawrence Ferlinghetti himself. Always the best books in here. The ones that make you think. Another shot in reverse angle reveals this charming triangle-shaped building where Francis Ford Coppola used to own the restaurant called Whim's, where he had his own table at the ready for whispered plots about zoetrope and cinematic expression. Alas, now it's a video rental shop. Some symmetry there, I suppose, where you might be able to rent a copy of his first film, You're a Big Boy Now. A little further up Grant Street now, you can see how Grant Street has transmogrified from the Chinese into the Italian. About 20% of San Francisco's population is made up of people of Italian descent. About 17% of the population here is Chinese. And this is Coit Tower, our next destination. Freeze it for you there. Look at this architecture. Very European, very Italian. About 50,000 of San Francisco's Italians live here in the North Beach neighborhoods, what used to be called Little Italy. About half the Italians in San Francisco live here. Great cityscapes, clean, simple lines, pastel shades against azure blue. Plus, it's easy to follow your nose from espresso bar to bakery in this area. Coit Tower getting ever closer. Great house on the corner of Grant and Chestnut. I'm going to do a pan shot so you can get a real feel for this place here, standing on this corner on this day and this year. I like long takes with combinations. You know, a great shot followed by a zoom or a pan to another shot, and a few more camera moves, all in real time with live sound. The best way to create a moment, the very best way to bring you here with me. And every great view must warrant a telescope to enhance the experience. Great shots of the bridge can be had from here, as well as your neighbor's living room, I suppose. Anything goes in San Francisco. Even the schools are dabbed in pastels, no brick or granite edifices here. I have no manual exposure on this camera, so I got to tilt up a little to properly expose the scene, and a pan to the left brings us to our first intimate view of Coit Tower, named after Lily Hitchcock Coit, who left $100,000, a considerable sum in her day, to the city with the instruction to build a monument to firemen. All right, who's punctuating my sound check here? Hey, you little buggers, I oughta. Look at this teeny little house, completely overshadowed by its neighbors. The smell of eucalyptus from the trees of the same name permeates the air in San Francisco. To the memory of Christopher Columbus and the statue of Sane, standing heroically here next to Coit Tower. Inside Coit Tower now to see the famous murals. These frescoes were painted in the 30s and were quite radical for their time, with their socialist themes and depictions of the struggle of the working and the underclasses. Lily Hitchcock Coit was a committed fire chaser and was such an avid fan of the firefighters that she arranged for the building of this monument in the shape of, if you haven't noticed, a fire hose nozzle. I'm surprised these murals escaped the 50s with McCarthy and the red baiting going on. The hysteria that gripped this country in that time. I would have thought these would all be whitewashed away. Now they have a certain waiting for lefty quaintness to them, don't they? What's this? 50 cents. Make your own souvenir. The Coit Tower Penny Factory. Okay, let's see. It's make your penny. Yes, it's legal. U.S. Code 1331. Okay, good enough for me. Let's see if I can get going on. What do we need here? Oh, 2 quarters and a penny. Okay. Expected nothing less. And let's see if we can load this up. Let's see. Whoa. And out comes a flattened piece of copper. Oh, no, actually it's engraved, yeah. I can get the macro focus going here. Let's see. Hang on a second while I get the macro set. Oh, wait, sorry. Pardon me, there we go. You can just make it out. Coit Tower. Lombard Street, the quickest street in the world. Every twist and bend garnished with a little garden and a little bit of flowery delight. And the swish pan brings us, where are we? A distant shot of Telegraph Hill. Zoom in for a better angle there. Coit Tower. Hey, Petey. You can bet this guy lives a pampered existence. Yeah, look at that. Little bugger probably eats better than I do. And back to Lombard Street, halfway up. And at the top of the street, what else? Are you forming an impression of this city? Are you starting to get it? Where even the downtown towers of commerce are given to whimsy and fanciful expression. And there's a good shot of those towers of commerce. A place ever wrapped in steel bands of playfulness. Below these slots here, you can hear the cable being pulled along at 9.5 miles an hour for the sole purpose of cable cars gripping it and getting a free ride. And there's Alcatraz, once the barred rock of penal retribution, now crawling with tourists and history buffs. Quick setup here, better be quick, tilt up, and presto, a great combination shot of a 15-ton vehicle coming down at me. Let's see how long I can do a Mexican standoff here. God, this is a great shot. Okay, better step aside here. Oh, it chickened out. And the passing shot going away. Has the word wacky crossed your mind yet? Welcome to Toy Town. What's this action here? What do we got going here? A little photo shoot. Oh, no, it looks like a self-timer shot. Gotcha. Look at the flatness of the single plane rendered by my extreme telephoto. Alcatraz in the distance there, and a tilt down to a San Francisco car. Ticket issued for the paint job, no doubt. Well, if that's so, here's someone who should be handed a citation. Dazzle without a permit, perhaps. In any other city, this building would be a gray or brick monolith. But here they painted a sun-reflecting pastel. And a truck goes by, so I show it to you. And when the sun sinks into the western sky, the shadows get longer and cast farther afield. All this gingerbread is making me hungry. Let's see if I can zoom in for a closer look here. This more typical modern building almost looks out of place, doesn't it, compared to what we've seen? Victorian ladies giving way to an errant house. We're in the Russian Hill area. Very posh residences in this area. Look at this guy. Seemingly typical shot, right? But a zoom out shows the true perspective of the scene. Look at this. Quite a building, especially here in Earthquake Central. And here's the eyesore again, ruining the view of plenty of folks here on Russian Hill. Couldn't resist this shot, trawling into sunset. What a beautiful place to be right now. Most of us Americans name San Francisco our favorite city, even though those of us who've never been here before, and that is the truth. And this is just one of the reasons why. Here in Toy Town, with blimps tracing lazy circles in the sky. Look at that huge ship. You can see big scenes like this in any large seaport, but here, as the ship obliterates Alcatraz, the scene is lent a poignance specific to San Francisco. Dusk is prevailing on the bay, the sky and its reflection on the water turning soft and blue. It's still about 59 degrees, not bad for mid-October for a native Michigander. And a pan to prove our location to you. That's Ghirardelli up there. And if I get this auto exposure to work, a tilt up to verify the claim. zoom in for the myopic among you. The entire Bay Area is a paradise for boaters. From to San Francisco, down to San Jose in the south, the wide expanse of the bay is dotted with marinas everywhere you look. And everywhere you look upon the water, you'll see boats of all types, from large container steamers to the smallest of sailboats and windsurfers. If I were a boater, I would truly be in my element. This would truly be paradise for me. The Fisherman's Wharf stop on the cable car line as night is falling heavily upon us. I'm standing in front of the Buena Vista Bar, if I can show this to you. A gathering spot for the locals, but also a favorite with tourists who are compelled to order the specialty drink of the house, which is their own version of Irish coffee. Let's see if we can sneak a peek at the action inside the Buena Vista. What a friendly town. Fountain and Ghirardelli Square, made up mostly of restaurants and shops. San Francisco is not an inexpensive city to visit, but if you watch your pennies and know how to seek out enjoyment through walking and gawking, you can get by without maxing out the visa. Well, that's it for me, folks. With nightfall has come that familiar fatigue every tourist knows, and just too much looking, too much visual stimulation. I'm going to go back to my hotel and veg out with a guidebook. It pays to be prepared for the next day's itinerary. Well, we chewed up a lot of scenery today, didn't we? San Francisco, everybody's favorite, and why not? It's big, but doesn't feel it. It's well populated, but the people are friendly. And it's got fanciful things you won't find anywhere else on Earth. Enjoyed having you with me. Now this is the panhandle area of the Golden Gate Park, a little finger sticking out very close to Haight-Ashbury, where the hippies would hold forth in the mid-60s. And a quick pan to the right shows some lovely Victorian houses and some other more modern facades put on them. But the next house coming up is Janis Joplin's residence in the Haight, when she was singing her heart and guts out in the local playhouses, the Fillmore, etc. Now, this is the street where the Grateful Dead lived. And coming up is their house. The Grateful Dead were turned on to acid by Ken Kesey and his mate, Owlsley, the Cadillac of acids. And there evolved what was known as acid rock. On this somewhat quiet street. This is Alamo Park, the famous picture postcard view of San Francisco, with these gingerbread Victorians in the foreground and the gleaming spires of the city beyond. And we're going to let our lens play upon the scene here a little bit for you. I actually bought a plastic model made in Denmark of these houses that I'm going to assemble one by one. But we don't have that as a backdrop. There you go, nice free shot there. Some would want to deny this action here, Haight-Ashbury, but this is it, the corner of Ashbury and Haight, where the conflagrations of society took place, some 20-odd years ago. Now, of course, it's all different. In fact, I was here 2 years after the major events, 66 and 67. I was here in 68, and it had already been long since finished, whatever did happen here in this tiny part of the world. As I sit here in this restaurant on the corner,
I wonder what sort of weird scenes took place on these streets. Now, almost surreally deserted. On Montgomery Street. And this incredible pyramidal tower is the Transamerica building. I'll freeze it for you. Well, on the 27th floor of the same pyramid, they have a lookout. The only accessible place to the public. Yeah, left by Lily Coit. I'd like to descend the hill in one of these cars. Look at that. See if I can get this action here. She wasn't quite well. Oh, here's comes the stroller. See if I can just freeze her. Just yeah, got her. Oh, look at this. Wait till I zoom out and you see where this boat is. You can just catch the shadow up above in the top left corner. If you're one step ahead of me, you would have guessed it. Look at this shot. Ah. Oh. There it is. I'm on the Marin side now. Look at that red artery with the corpuscles going across it in both directions. And all it takes is a little pan to see that ever-pervasive shot of the city again. And if I can kind of hold it steady, I'll try to zoom it in for you too. Okay. We'll freeze it here in a second. I'll zoom in a little bit. There's the pyramid, so you can see where that's the downtown area. There you go. I was one of those cars just a few moments ago, spanning this mile-long gap between Marin County and the Golden Gate section of San Francisco proper. They sailed past this opening, creating the San Francisco Bay, for 200 years after they first explored this area. They always missed it because it was foggy out. Look at that shot. Toy Town, USA. Incredible. Look at that. The shadow of the blimp, even, in the sun-speckled water. This is a wonderful perch here. And there's the blimp itself. Non-commercial blimp, it looks like. What a day here. What a grand day. On approximately this spot, Miles Archer, partner of Sam Spade, was done in by Bridget O'Shaughnessy. If you know your film noir history. And there it is. All fiction, of course, but that doesn't lessen its interest. And in keeping with my combination theory, to let you see all aspects of the scene, I'll tilt up and show you what Miles must have seen when he hit the ground. In this alley here, Jack Kerouac lived. Not in the alley, in this house right here, with Neil Cassidy and his wife, whose name I forget. And he wrote most of On the Road in this house. Okay, I couldn't resist this angle on the car descending the hill, the first hill on its way, and its double descent to us. Look at these little toys. There's a good shot right there. Hello. Got it. And watch this truck attack the hill here. In fine form. Of course, San Franciscans have become somewhat blasé about their hills. Let's test the theory ourselves. Would you be blasé about this? With the manual transmission, driving, shifting, and the camcorder in one hand? And a stop sign at the top of the hill? Oh, God. Well, we've come up. Now let's go down the other side. Descending from the top of Knob Hill here and hoping that the brakes hold. You get tickets in this town if you don't turn your wheels the proper way when you park on the street, whether you're going uphill or downhill, you know. Ah, Steve McQueen in Bullet. Oh, give me strength. Well, as dusk quickly prevails, look at the shimmer action on the Golden Gate Bridge here. That is tasty. A little bit closer. Yeah, perfect. Very well done Christmas displays in many of these large downtown shops. These, of course, hearkening back to a seemingly simpler time. Probably not too simple for this lady here. We worked her way up from scullery to housemaid. Ah, yes. And the ever-present reminder of those less fortunate than we. Hello. Hello. Oh. Here's some guy brightening up our corner. Yeah, pretty good. And seeing the comical elements of our society, the warm elements, such as evidenced by this guy. Very pleasant scene here. But as you can see, just beyond him, little known to him, I'm really filming one of the very sad stories of our times, of all time. A street person asking for some money, a homeless person. Words fail at this point as the Macy's bags go drifting by the scene. And as this becomes almost surreal, as here's this guy making balloon animals completely oblivious to our, or my, center of focus anyway. Thankfully blocked out by some protoplasm there. And he's making a nice wreath for us.
Make a brooch out of it, or?
Oh, he is giving it. Thank you. Thank you. Giving it to the lady next to me. But there's another lady here on the scene, squatting on the ground, asking for some recompense for her vigil here, I guess. Words fail. So I'll just keep my mouth shut. And to cap it all off, I'm going to do a nice tilt to an emblem that means so much to so many people. Why not to all of the people? If we could only find a way. Well, let's lighten the scene a little bit. This, I promise, will be our last shot of a cable car, unless another one comes up. And here it is. One is never far behind in this town. Cable cars, that is. Well, folks, our tenure here is drawing to a close. Just one last time to ride the Fairmont elevators and show you these Christmas tree lights decorating the Embarcadero Center buildings. How many other cities do you know put Christmas tree lights on buildings like that? I'll zoom in a little bit closer, but I want to share some thoughts with you first. Tomorrow morning, I board a plane to head back to more familiar territory. It's been a wonderful few days here in this, unbelievable place. The city where, in a survey taken in the 60s, most respondents said they would most like to live. An incongruous footnote to that fact is the fact that most of these so answering had never even seen the place. So powerful is the reputation of this city, and so magical the grip it has on the all-American imagination. It's been the tolerant home for eccentrics and nonconformists throughout its short, even by American standards, history. It's not for naught that the Bohemians sprouted here, and the Beatniks after them, and the culminating flower that was the Haight-Ashbury, and the short season of the hippie. And even today, outside of crazed-out crackheads and other isolated aggressions, the people seem to have found a workable, if tenuous, weave for the social fabric of a large modern city. And they got great toys here. Erection-set bridges and cable cars and blimps and vertical sidewalks and natural fog-borne air conditioning, all set to the music of foghorn symphonies. But until San Francisco, like all other cities and towns, finds a way to provide an opportunity to all of its citizens, it will remain an unrealized utopia of gleaming spires and pastel houses. But in the meantime, gosh, it does have great toys. Good night, folks. See you when I get home. Bye-bye.